Hey guys, Derek here. Welcome back to the channel. We are back to react to another episode of Moon Knight. This is episode 5. It is called Asylum. Now, what happened last time on Moon Knight? Last time was kind of a tale of two episodes. So we had the whole first 75% probably was this kind of tomb raiding, adventure, Uncharted style episode where they were just kind of working their way through Amit's tomb, and there was some spooky, scary elements to it. And they found the tomb of Alexander the Great. Layla found out that Mark was present at her father's murder, not necessarily directly involved, but he knew about it and he kept it from her. So that was obviously devastating. And then he gets shot twice by Harrow and goes into what I am assuming is kind of this maybe underworld or middle ground type area of the Egyptian afterlife. And it's kind of being presented to him as this insane asylum. So that's really interesting. And he has to kind of not break out of that necessarily, but he comes to his senses that it's not real. And then he meets up with Stephen, his altar down there. And then there's also a third one in a sarcophagus that we don't know who it is yet, probably Jake Lockley. And then a giant hippo lady says hello to them, and they freak out, and the episode's over. So presumably this episode is going to be focused on whatever they're gonna whatever journey they're gonna go through this afterworld type area. Whatever journey they're gonna go on, I assume that is gonna be the whole episode, and then the next episode will be focused on beating Harrow and stuff. So I'm really excited to jump into this. Before we do that though, please consider leaving a like on the video. It means a ton to me. If you're new here or find yourself coming back often, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when I upload, especially if you want to see me react to more Marvel or superhero related content. And then if you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, consider supporting me on Patreon. That would mean a lot as well. That is linked in the description below. But otherwise, let's jump into episode 5 of Moon Knight. Ooh. Classic Marvel song. Is that water?
It's all your fault!
Calm down, Mark. Mark, I didn't shoot you. Your mind is violently vacillating between sense and nonsense. Picture this, right? You're doing everything and everything possible not to look within.
You're not really a doctor.
Is that why you keep starting imaginary fights in our hospital?
You're not a doctor.
I feel real. I feel like a real doctor.
You're not a doctor.
Well,
All right. I'm not a real.
I feel like he had a different accent there.
All right. Well,
There's a little New York. You're not a doctor.
now what do you think? Do you think that is sense or nonsense?
Both.
Some people, they see a castle, right? Somebody else will see a maze or a library.
Or an insane asylum.
Before you got upset, you were talking to me about a boy. Do you remember that boy? You think you could tell me about that little boy?
I mean, they must pay you a lot of money in this place.
You know
You're
what?
really good. I tell you what, I feel like $1 million. Never felt so good. I'm gonna see myself out. Thank you, doctor.
I don't want to lose the book.
This sounds, he sounds different. Is this currently Jake Lockley? got straight murked.
I'm dead. We're dead.
Yes. Yes, Mark, I think she's right. I think.
I knew this was the underworld.
Okay.
It's on papyrus paper or whatever.
Welcome, gentle travelers, to the realm of the Duat.
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 The Egyptian underworld.
This is poetic.
And she's guiding us through our journey to the afterlife.
Because he's got trauma as a boy. That's why she's there.
The afterlife?
An afterlife, not the afterlife. You'd be surprised how many intersectional planes of untethered consciousness exist.
Interesting.
Ancestral plane. Oh,
Ooh.
just gorgeous.
Yep, so 2 different spots.
So, like, right through these doors, for example, we go through here, there's gonna be a bunch of patients, and there's Crawley probably about to yell, bingo!
Ooh, they're on a boat. I'm on a boat, mother. 2 shows in a row with a boat? It's transporting you across the field of reeds.
Into our route, to the field of reeds, right, Poetic?
I'm a genius.
If your heart's balanced in life, then you will spend eternity in paradise. The field of reeds.
But before we get there, I'm just going to do a quick little.
You rip his heart out? Why you do that? So I'm guessing this is usually Amit's job. But since she's imprisoned, these other deities got to pick up the slack.
What if they don't balance?
You get thrown overboard. Whee! The dead will drag you down into the Duat, where you will remain forever, frozen in sand.
No one balanced souls.
If it comes to it, kill the hippo, steal the boat.
Kill the hippo, steal the boat. Don't think that would work quite as well as he thinks it would. He's got chaos.
Why is it doing that? Why is it moving?
I don't know.
It's like they each feel incomplete.
What does that mean?
Without balanced scales, the Duat will eventually claim your soul.
It's not good. So they have to combine into one person.
All of a life's memory.
Get in there and show each other the truth. Balance your scales before we arrive at the field of reeds, or your souls will be destroyed.
Okay.
How are we supposed to do this?
Go open that red sarcophagus.
You know what Layla would be all right with if she were here right now? Just don't say it. I'm just saying there is
Killing
one
the hippo?
and 2 of us, and this ship can't be that
Hippos
hard
are
to steer, so...
deadly creatures.
Oi, what's this? What are we gonna do here? We're gonna, like, revisit every single memory I've ever had? You remember this? Yeah, I don't know, it's the street. You know, how many streets have you walked down your whole life?
I feel like he specifically recognizes that street.
Just a creepy calf filled with dead bodies. That's all it is.
No pauses.
That is kind of creepy. Are these all the people he's killed?
Goodbye.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on.
Yeah. These are all the people he's killed as a mercenary.
You remember each person. You tried taking a life. See how quickly you forget. Kept wishing I'd fail. One of them would kill me instead.
It was slightly balancing.
The healing ended up being a curse.
It's a little boy.
Mark.
Probably him. His little boy.
Child.
Your name. Oh, hold on there. Wait a moment. Wait a moment.
So that's definitely him as a kid, right? Why would you shut the door on him? You're supposed to go through this together, Steven.
Mom?
Food's ready. Who's hungry? Roro?
Mom, come check out my drawing. He drew the fish with only one fin.
Mark, be nice to your little brother.
Like the fish in his flat that only had one fin?
Boys, you've gone too long.
Hey, Mark. What do? Keep an eye on your brother, okay?
Ooh. I'm trying to piece things together in my head. So he had a brother. I'm guessing his brother died, maybe, and that's what caused that initial split in the creation of Stephen Grant. Ooh. This is where Khonshu first found him. Their first interaction.
Lads, you have to get out of here.
It's gonna flood.
Boys, come on, lads. We have to leave now. Can you hear me?
That was water that we saw earlier.
Mark! Oh God! Follow my voice. Boys! Boys! I hear you.
Oh no.
It's just a memory. It's just a memory. It's Stephen.
Dissociative identity disorder is often a result of severe trauma, which causes that split in the creation of the altar. Oh, and that was his mom screaming, "It's all your fault."
Come on.
You were supposed to keep him safe.
Stephen, let's go.
Him drown. This is all your fault.
Yo.
This is all your fault.
What? I want to say, like, what a bad mom, but she's grieving. It is a horrible response, saying things she would most likely regret later.
We're just about to blow out the candles now.
But how do you say that to your kid? Oh, that's such a bummer. Stephen's seeing all the trauma that led to his creation. Dang, she just spiraled deeper and deeper in that depression.
I should have known you would do something like this.
Stephen!
Poor kid. God, Oscar Isaac is so good.
Enough, Stephen. Off me.
Ooh, this is...
How are we now?
Oh, this is where Lila's dad dies. Oh no. Are we gonna see Bushmaster?
Going AWOL on a fugue state gets you discharged from the military. Didn't have a ton of options after that, so I went work for hire for my old CO, Bushman.
Bushman, yep. The Bushmaster.
Is that Dr. Fu thing of Dad? Oh, we didn't make it. Clearly. What happened to you?
Khonshu claimed him. Either reclaimed him, because we saw the bird bones in the kid flashback, so maybe he encountered Khonshu first then, and then Khonshu fully claimed him here, or maybe this is the first time. I'm not sure. Because they go back and forth with that in the comics. of when exactly Khonshu chose him.
What a waste.
Huh?
I feel
Huh?
inside you. I am the god Khonshu, in search of a warrior. Your mind, I feel it, fractured, broken, most fascinating. You are a worthy candidate. In exchange for your life, do you swear to protect the travelers of the night and bring my vengeance to those who would do them harm?
That snaky old vulture.
He was manipulating you from the start.
No, I kept us alive.
Mark, he was taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
Well, it was just another.
Yeah.
Then rise. Rise and live again. As my fist of vengeance. As my Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. So they each have specific gates.
I'm just begging you, don't make us go there again. It's not worth it.
Yeah. It had to have been severe trauma. So I understand him not wanting to go back in. Oh God, the acting is so good.
It'll be all your fault. No, you can't! I won't do it! I won't do it! You can't make me! You can't make me! You're gonna have to open up to Steve. There can be no progress without understanding.
Even though Harrow's the bad guy, he's kind of helping him through this at the moment. Okay. Time to prepare for some trauma. He's a Cubs fan, so he's well versed in trauma already.
It's not my mom. Open the door right now. It's not my mom.
Does she have bipolar disorder?
Bloody hell. Look at the state of this place. Better sort it out before Mum sees it.
Danger is near. Stephen Grant has.
Oh, he was afraid. And so he became Stephen Grant so that he wouldn't be afraid anymore.
You're gonna learn. To listen.
I want to see what she did.
Disgusting.
You're not meant to see that. You're not meant to see that. That's the whole point of you.
Appointed me what to be a stress ball.
All this time I thought I was the original. But I'm just something that you made up.
You've got to live.
But it was all a lie, wasn't it? So what? What does it matter? What, you want to remember the truth? That you had a mother that beat you? That hated you? That made your life a living hell?
And Molly was trying to upset me.
But you've gotten to live thinking that she loved you, that she was kind, that she's still alive.
Ooh.
Stephen, I'm sorry. No, thank you. No. Let me out. I
don't know why that was so funny.
Didn't even stop there.
What do you feel that he lied to you about?
Nosy?
No, wouldn't you like to know, weather boy?
My mother is alive. You say that again, I will freak out. I promise.
I must be mistaken. Would you like to speak with him? What do we call him?
You don't have a number, do you?
Yeah, we have it on file. Hold on, let me just get down.
No, actually, don't do that.
He doesn't want to try it because then he might have to face the truth. Oh, this single tear. Actually, there's tears on both eyes. Are those tears, or is that just part of his face? He can't bring himself to go back in there. God, he's so good.
What? Hey, Mum. Hey, you alright? Yeah, Would you believe it? I am totally lost again. Don't know where I am. I'm an absolute muppet. All those horrible things that she said to you, she was wrong. It wasn't your fault.
I shouldn't have brought him in that cave. I shouldn't have brought him in the cave.
Hey. You were just a child. It wasn't your fault.
Hug it out. Hug each other.
I'm so sorry. Your scales never balanced. Our journey's come to an end. I cannot stop the inevitable. I was really rooting for you guys, but the unbalanced souls with the Duat.
Watch out, watch out!
They're all made of sand. Tough to beat them when they're made out of sand. You gotta work together. Steven, help him. Yes. Ooh.
I prefer cricket.
Okay. I was like, what does 6 mean? Oh no. Yo, these dogs gotta quit barking outside.
Wait! Look, he's coming!
Oh, he can't run in the sand. Oh no. No.
Stop the boat! Stop the boat!
The scales are balanced.
Dang it. It's just Mark now. And whatever thing was in that red one. Oh no! Are you kidding me? That's the end? Okay. God, that episode was sad. Oh man, I didn't think I would get that upset about losing Steven. One, I didn't think it would happen. Like, that possibility hadn't even entered my mind that Steven would die. You know, I just kind of figured going forward that this would be a thing that Mark had going on for the rest of his life, of him and Steven and potentially Jake Lockley all kind of existing together. I had really started to enjoy Steven, particularly just like how pure he seemed to be, like innocent and naive and just funny and wholesome. So it's a bummer that he died. I think that's what happened, is he's like permanent styles dead. And the only saving grace, I guess, is up to that point, he helped Mark kind of revisit his trauma and know that it's not, the things that happen to him are not his fault. And he got some realization himself of the fact that he is not the original. And oh man, that's just it's a bummer, man. Oh man, that's just, they're still playing with some stuff where we're not sure everything that is true. For most of the episode, they're kind of interchanging him talking with Harrow and trying to make it seem like that's true, but it's not. We know it's not true, and it's just like, it's crazy. But so start off the episode, we learn that this is the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, or the Egyptian version of the underworld. We learn that there is multiple different afterlives. So the ancestral plane from Black Panther, that is one of them. It's not the same afterlife, I believe is what she was saying, but there are various different interdimensional afterlife states or whatever that can kind of like intersect or run parallel or whatever. And so where the ancestral plane is one of them, the Duat is another one. I assume that would mean that at least in maybe the MCU, you could use deductive reasoning that if these places exist, that would possibly mean that like heaven exists, like the Christian heaven, or what are some other religions? Different afterlives in that regard might exist as well within the MCU, and would be like confirmed, be like, this is true. So that's an interesting way that they can kind of have their cake and eat it too, in terms of not pissing off religious people. I mean, well, I'm sure actually it'll make some upset, but that's okay. And I assume Duat is kind of like a substitute teacher for Amit, because what isn't Amit's role in Egyptian mythology, I believe historically she's the one that judges whether you're able to get into the field of reeds, right? But she is currently imprisoned. So my guess is, since the main teacher is out sick, they got some substitutes kind of doing their thing and helping people along. So that's Duat's role right now. She needs her flashcards to help her through the process, and she wants to she's taking them on this journey, right? Like the underworld is presenting itself as a psych ward to Steven and Mark, and really they're on a boat going through the sands of fate, or whatever they want to call it. And before they reach the end, his scales have to balance. So him and Mark and Steven have to come to some sort of understanding, right? They have to, like, there either has to be a like merging of the two into like one being, or one of them has to go because they are both incomplete. And just the whole episode of is literally just Steven experiencing Mark's memories, and we learn all the things that led to the creation of Steven. So one, we get to see, so we see a post creation Steven. Post after that happened, we see all these dead people in the cafeteria, and that's all the people that Mark has killed. They essentially start from like most recent and go backwards. And Mark has he's killed a lot of people. Probably some as just a regular mercenary, but then some as Khonshu's avatar as well. And he remembers all of them. Kind of similar to Bucky Barnes when he's fighting Iron Man in Civil War, and he's like, "Do you even remember them?" And he's like, "I remember all of them." It's kind of keeping with the theme of like, if you're a decent person, but you have also killed people, those people stick with you. And they've stuck with Mark. He remembers all of them. But then we get some hints and confirmations of what initially led to the initial event that led to the creation of Steven. So he's hanging out with his brother, and they're going and playing in a cave, and it happens to start raining. And if you know anything about that type of thing, these caves and caverns can fill up with water real quick. There was just a couple years back or whatever, there was that huge news story of that group of boys. I think it was a soccer team where they were playing in the caves, and a huge storm happened, and they got trapped in this cave, and there was this huge concerted effort to save these kids. They had like divers going through certain caverns and rescuing these kids, and it was a whole like international event, right? So that's dangerous. And unfortunately, I assume Mark's brother, Roro, he called him, died. And we get to experience that from Steven's perspective. One thing I'm not 100% sure about is he looks down before he goes in that cave, and there's like bird bones on the ground. So as I was watching, I was trying to like interpret like what that meant, because in the comics, they go back and forth between like when Khonshu initially like broke Steven's mind. There's versions in the comics where his mind was broken already, and that's why Khonshu chose him like as an adult, which is kind of what we see later in the episode. But then there's also, I believe, issues where Khonshu visits him like as a child, and Khonshu breaks his mind, and it's wild. And I think I could be wrong on that, but so when I look down, I see those bones in a memory of him as a child. I'm like, oh, maybe something happened in this little rainy cavern that Khonshu was involved in. I don't know. But his brother dies, and his mom spirals. Maybe there's a history of mental illness besides Mark. Maybe it seemed to be that his mom was either bipolar, maybe, or had some other like just depressive situation going on, because she seemed deeper and more than just regular depression. right? And there's the moment later when he's like, that's not my mom, that's not my mom. I wonder if in that moment he was just trying to say, like, this is not who she truly is. Like, she's just going through some sort of phase. Like, eventually she'll come back to who she truly is. Or is he, like, talking, like, in this specific moment, that's not her? You know? Because maybe it lasts an hour when she's, like, vindictive and cruel and depressed, and then she's better later in the day. Or maybe this is just a depressive state that she's been in for years. I'm not sure, but she's saying it's all your fault. And we're seeing multiple birthdays where she just doesn't want to be involved. And eventually, the point where, I don't know if that was the first instance that Stephen came out, but his mom takes him into the room, or no, his mom doesn't take him into the room. He goes into the room. Mark does not want him to see that. He does not want him to have to deal with the reality of his creation, which sucks. Then we see flashback to the death of Layla's father, or the aftermath of that, and him kind of crawling into this shrine. That's pretty much straight from the comics, as he is most likely pretty much killed by Bushmaster, and Khonshu saves him in return for being his avatar. In that flashback scene, it definitely made it seem as though he was encountering him for the first time. So that might throw my, encountering him as a child theory out the window totally. And he was like, "Ooh, you're broken." And then he claims him, he claims him. And Stephen, though, is like, dude, he's manipulating you. Like, he's been manipulating you from the beginning. And that was one thing I really enjoyed, is kind of through this whole first part, before we see the abuse that his mother laid onto him, we see this understanding perspective from Stephen, which makes it all the worse when he eventually bites the dust, literally, at the end, where he's very sympathetic to Stephen, or to Mark, and he's like, dude, this was not your fault. Khonshu's manipulating you. Like, there's a deeper understanding growing between them. And at the same time, though, Mark is protecting Stephen at the same time. They're kind of both protecting each other from different things. And then the saddest part of the episode, we see him hiding from his mother. He's scared because his mother is going to beat him with a belt for what she believes he did to her and his brother. She believes it's his fault. It's not his fault. But Stephen has to witness the creation of himself. He witnesses himself being made up. And he then has to deal with that harsh reality that he is not the original. And there's a sad scene between him and Mark, where Mark's like, you got to live a life believing your mother was alive, and that she was kind and happy, and I took the other part for you. Like, I created you so that I could be brave, and I wouldn't have fear when things were happening. You're the reason that exists, so he wouldn't be afraid anymore. And it's just devastating, man. It's real tough. We see that his mother's dead. We don't know how it happened. She was extremely depressed, so things happen when you're extremely depressed. And Mark just can't even bring himself to go in there. Like, he had so much trauma in that building, like in his home, that he cannot go back there anymore. And just the absolutely devastating scene where he breaks down in the street. Like, holy crap. Oscar Isaac is such a good actor. Like, he's probably the best. Like, this makes me think that Oscar Isaac is like the best actor in the MCU, like bar none. You know, when I watched Spider-Man No Way Home, it was pretty clear that Andrew Garfield is the best actor of everyone that was in that movie. Because, I mean, if you've seen other stuff with Andrew Garfield, you're like, okay, yeah, that's true. But I think this episode alone might put Oscar Isaac at like the top of the rankings in terms of like clear best actors in the MCU. Like, if Oscar Isaac can win an Emmy for this episode, he should. Like, he deserves it. Like, for this series alone, just like the changing between Steven and Mark is impressive enough alone, but then just the absolute raw emotion and talent and desperation put on screen in this episode is insane. It's insane. And we see him switch to Steven in the middle of the street, and Steven's like, oh, I'm lost. Mom, look we're a long way from Mayfair. And it's like, oh my God, dude. And it's, you know, I think at that point they've kind of both come to an understanding of who each other are. I mean, Mark always knew who Steven was. Like, I think Mark always had that understanding of Steven, and he knew why he existed, what type of person he was. And he probably was able to observe him more, right? Because, like, you know, early on when Steven first learns about the switching or whatever, he struggles to like be a fly on the wall or see through reflections. My guess is Mark was always probably pretty good at that and pretty aware of everything that Steven did. After all, he was his own creation, so he probably had a greater control over that. And so he had that understanding of Steven, but I think Steven fully comes to an understanding of Mark and of himself. And he saves Mark. Mark was getting dragged down, and Mark was going to die, and Steven saves his life. And he himself gets taken down into the sands, and I believe dies. And I was not expecting that. That was definitely not something I thought would happen, and it sucked. Honestly, it sucked. I don't know why I'm so upset about it. We only knew Steven for 5 episodes, but it truly felt like it almost came out of nowhere, because like you weren't expecting, like you didn't think it was gonna happen. Like, my expectation for the final 2 episodes and possible seasons beyond or whatever, I don't know if they'll do more seasons than this, but my expectation for that was that Steven would be around, and it would be a dynamic of Steven and Mark. And he doesn't make it. It felt very abrupt. And now that he's just Mark now, that means that his scales have balanced, and he has entered the field of reeds, and he's on his own. He's in the positive version of the afterlife, I guess, which is also interesting to think about, because he hasn't been a perfect person. And presumably he will be here until somehow Khonshu is freed. I don't know. I forgot who's gonna free him. Does Layla have to like somehow get into the Pyramid of Giza? Because isn't that where his little statue is inside the pyramid? How is she gonna get there? I guess maybe if you know that it's there. I don't know, maybe Taweret will help her somehow. She'll have to free Khonshu, And then maybe Khonshu will decide to claim her now that Mark's dead, or she'll have to like beg him to, maybe she'll have to beg him to save Mark in return for eventually herself becoming the Avatar. I don't know. But presumably somehow Mark gets out of this, right? Because we've seen in the trailers or whatever him as Moon Knight fighting against Harrow. So we're gonna see that eventually. But this show's so good. Like, I feel like various episodes of the different series have hit me like hard, unexpectedly. Like, I think WandaVision was really, really good due to the new nature of it and how interesting its depiction of grief and what that can cause was. Falcon and Winter Soldier had a pretty profound impact on me just due to their exploration of the issues of race and how that plays into both culture but also the world of the MCU. Loki was really, really good. I think it was top quality. What other shows? And then yeah, Moon Knight now is just like, there's just various points throughout each of the series where I was not expecting to feel emotions, and I'm feeling them. Like I feel like this whole post-episode discussion, I've literally felt like I've been on the brink of like crying. Maybe I'm just on the brink of yawning, but it's tough, man. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. This was a fantastic episode. I think this is the best of the Marvel shows so far, of at least the Disney Plus Marvel shows. It's clear that Oscar Isaac is turning in the best performance of any of the actors in the shows so far. And I'm just excited to see the finale, man. I'm excited. I think those are all my opinions on this episode, though. Definitely let me know what you guys thought of the episode. Was that as unexpected and sad for you? Because it definitely hit me like a truck. Yeah, let me know all your thoughts. If you liked my reaction, please leave a like on the video. It means a ton to me. Helps my channel out a lot. If you are new here or find yourself coming back often, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when I upload, especially if you want to see me react to more Marvel-related content. And then if you want to see the full uncut version of this reaction, consider supporting me on Patreon. That would mean a lot as well. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.